Hello and welcome to Tech Talks for 2016. This is a new Tech Talk for the Seaside Public Schools using Google Docs preferences to add comments to a student's paper. So one of the things we want to be able to do when you are working with Google Docs and you're working with your students and they're writing papers for you is you want to be able to comment on their papers and be able to help them write the best possible paper and be able to fix things like capitalization problems or possibly run-on sentences or places where the paper is just awkward and they're not getting to the point that you really want them to get to. So what we want to be able to do is show you some shortcuts today so that you can add comments to a paper and look at revisions and be able to do this quickly for the large number of students that you need to work with. So I'm going to jump into a paper that I have put together. This is an essay that I borrowed off the internet. It's a middle school example. So it shows you some middle school writing. And if you look at it, you'll see that there are some problems in there. There's some spelling errors and some other things. And Google finds some of that stuff for you, which is helpful. I also put together just a quick list, and you might have other kinds of lists that you want to use with your students, but let's look at that really quickly. And what I've done is I just wrote this list up just so I would have a sort of a background list to work off of. One of the things that Google and the preferences does, just like when you're working with your smartphone and you type in a word that's close and your smartphone says, oh, they really wanted to type the word the instead of, some other word. And it changes it for you. Google will be able to do some of that too. So I chose to type in AWK. And what I really want Google to insert is, instead of the AWK part I type, I want it to say inside these brackets. I just put brackets in there because it's an easy way for you to keep track of what you might see. And it would say this sentence or paragraph is awkward and needs to be rewritten. Or I type in run-on and it says, please read this sentence out loud and fix the run-on. Or spell, check spelling, or caps for capitals. You could put in any kind of thing that you want. You just know that when you type these things, and Google's going to substitute that in. And the nice part is once you put these into your preferences, it's going to be there for all of them. You don't have to keep re-entering them every time you read a student's paper. And you can add them or subtract them or change them kind of at will. And so I'm going to go back to my paper here. I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to go down to Preferences. And I've already put these in, so as I scroll down, you're going to see some of the preferences that are already there. These are standard Google ones. But when I get down here, I have awk for awkward, caps. I have run-on, and these go out to the side here, so I just pasted them in there from my list. Spell, check spelling. And once you get those in there, and you put them in by typing them up here at the top, and every time you hit enter, it puts a new one in, so you'll be able to add to your whole list. And they're sort of automatic substitutions. So I'll say OK. And so I could just click in here, and I could type in capitals. I'll type in spell, and hit enter, and it types in check spelling. And since I messed that up there a little bit, I'll hit it again. Okay, check spelling. And so the student's going to come and read through their paper and say, oh, check spelling. I should check spelling. And then they'll have to erase that, so that not only do they have to check their spelling, but they have to kind of get your edit out of there. And I'll just put in run-on here just for an example. And then if I hit the space bar, then it's going to say, hey, please read this sentence out loud and fix the run-on. And so I don't have to hit enter like I did at the top. I just hit the space bar like I'm typing. And then possibly down here, oh, here's another spelling piece. So I'm just going to type in spell, hit the space bar. And that might be a really quick way for you to be able to add some comments. If I go up to insert, comment. These are comments that I can add to a paper. They're on the side over here at kind of the position that I'm at in the paper. But I have to type all these. And I can say, please read this paragraph out loud. And then the comment is just there. But I have to type all of those in, all the way. So I've got two different kinds of comments that I can work with. Once I get them embedded into the area, again, the preferences, then those are going to be there, and I can just keep using them. If I want to say something a little bit more about the paper in general, I can use the comments that appear on the right side. And then for a lot of times you're going to say, well, did the student really change the work that I had, or did they just get rid of my comments out of the paper? And one of the ways that you can kind of check on that is go back to File and see the revision history. And you can get there on a shortcut, Control-Alt-Shift-H, which is a lot of keys to press. Or you can just hit See Revision History. And notice that on the right side of the screen now, you'll be able to see the different revisions that happen as Google sort of saves the paper as it's moving along. You might do some work on it, and then a large period of time will go by before the student does. So you'll be able to see those revisions. And at the bottom right, it says Show Changes, which is great. That's what you want to do. And you can see the changes that I made in there. They're highlighted. And that might be really helpful for you to be able to see that. But I can go down here on the right bottom corner. It says Show More Detailed Revisions. So if I click on that, I get to see a lot more revisions. This is as Google's saving along the way. And it might be useful to be able to see, like, what kind of work did the student do on this once they were able to see what I was doing as far as what I wanted them to do as far as the revisions. And so if I went back a little ways, like way back, and I can also, restore some things. So maybe they just like totally wiped out their paper and it's a completely different paper, but I want to go back a ways. You can always go back to restore some of these revisions, and see what kind of work has been done. Notice that none of my edits are in there yet until I get a little closer. This has been in here for a little while. Now if I get to my 11:35 a.m., then I can start to see I did some work. I did more work. And then we're waiting for, nothing has happened since I did that work except for down here. So you can see when these revisions were done and if they got done at all, and then we'll still show you if there's like spelling errors and those kinds of things. So I'm hopeful that this is helpful, and I'd be happy to come and work through this with you and be able to help you implement this in your classes. So again, I hope that being able to use the preferences will enable you to put comments in there and be able to do that more quickly for your students. Again, Tech Talk, Seaside Public Schools. Hopefully this will help you.